How did you meet Michael Jackson?
How did I meet Michael Jackson? So after all this time of me learning his dance steps and everything, I had an opportunity to go to an audition, and I met him on my 18th birthday. Actually, it wasn't at that time. It was the audition was for Remember the Time on my 18th birthday while I was still in high school. So I landed the job, and then we had rehearsals, and that's when I first met Michael. Was doing rehearsals from Remember the Time, and man, we rehearsed on the back lot of Universal Studios, which was really cool. And we shot on the back lot of Universal Studios. We actually rehearsed at a studio which is no longer around called Alley Cat off of Gower and Sunset. And we rehearsed there for several weeks, shot it on the back lot of Universal Studios. And yeah, it was, you know, I was really happy to be there. I never thought it'd be such an iconic music video, but I mean, that music video is amazing, you know. John Singleton, unfortunately, passed away recently. The director who did Boys in the Hood, which was a movie that I loved because it was the areas that I grew up in, and it's about boys who looked like me that grew up in those kind of areas. One guy, you know, did turn into the kind of the dark side, and the other side, you know, the other boy they were friends, you know, grew up a different way, and I totally got that. The ironic thing is that John Singleton's birthday was also January 6th. So it was like on January 6th, on my birthday, got this job, and John Singleton, also January 6th, was the director. So that was kind of cool.
Wow.
Yeah.
And when you went there, how did Michael come out? Like when he entered the room, like what was the mood in the room like?
So, you know, we're in there rehearsing the dance steps. Now, the way we typically do this, if you're working with a large artist, you typically work with them separately. So they learn the dance steps, they know them before they come into the rehearsal. The idea behind that is that they want to come in looking like they know what they're doing, as opposed to learning the dance steps and seeing, you get to see all their foibles and all their mistakes and everything like that. So by the time he came in, he already knew the dance steps, at least a big chunk of them. So we were in rehearsal, and then, you know, the door opens and he comes in and we all get quiet. We're like, and we're trying to rehearse still, but you're still looking at the side of your eye. That's Michael Jackson. It's like, okay. And then he comes out in the middle, and the choreographer, Fatima Robinson, she introduces him. We all clap for him, and he's like, you know, thank you for being here, but very quiet. And then now, it's interesting. Now that Michael's there, we've been rehearsing. We're kind of just going through the motions. But now that Michael's here, everybody pulls up. Everybody's like ready, like all the dance steps, you hit them as hard as you can. Like it's now what in dance, and that's where we call that being full out, dancing full out with full energy, full intensity. Everyone's killing it. Like, and so Michael's like, okay, like you could tell that he sees what this could be, and he gets into it. Then he comes in, he does his steps. But yeah, it's like, you know, nothing beats the energy of when he's in the room. And when you are with when you're with a group of dancers who know what they're doing and are really good at what they do, you can feel the energy in that room. And that's how it was in every rehearsal. And then when we start shooting, that's how it was. And we carried that same, you know, I mean, I got a chance to work with him when I was 18 and when I was 19, and then for a good 5-year stint, went around the world, toured the world with him and everything for the History World Tour. So that energy, whenever we were around each other, whenever I was with him and other dancers, that energy was always there. So there was nothing like it.
When you're waiting for him to enter, he enters, you're 18, and you know this is what I want to do with the rest of my life, or at least for some time of it.
Yeah.
Did you feel like I'm closer to it, or did it feel even more intimidating?
No, I was never intimidated with him because, again, I still had that mindset that I don't care who you are, we're all going to grow old, we are all going to get sick, we're all going to die. So I'm never intimidated by anyone. I was just more like, wow, I actually did it. You know, after all these years, from the age of 14, 13 years of age, saying I was going to do it. Here, 5 years later, I'm actually doing it. So it was more of, you know, more elation, more glee, a relief that actually, after all this time, and you know, I have a lot of friends who became lawyers and doctors and other things because we were friends in junior high. We didn't go to the same high school, but I have friends now who are very successful in that world. And I didn't go down that path because I had a different mindset, and to see okay, here's the justification of all the hard work. Here's the validation of all the hard work, and it's kind of nice to have that. So for me, once I had that moment, I was cool. So at that point, it's game on, and now it's just about it's this healthy competition that dancers have between each other. We don't say anything, but we know we're trying to outdo each other. And it's in a loving way. It's not in a way like, okay, I'm better than you. It's more like, okay, you do this. Okay, now watch this. And we try to, up each other. And Michael has the same kind of thing. So when he's performing, he feeds off the energy that we have as dancers going back and forth, and that pulls him up as well. So, there's, like I said, the energy in that room is just insane, and it's contagious. And I carried that with me whenever I did other jobs with Michael, and now as a director.
And so did you say, I need to approach him, or no, I'm going to take this slow. I'm going to let him see that I'm dedicated to this. I have discipline. And when I'm ready, we'll go to the next step.
Yeah, when it comes to Michael, you don't think about approaching him. No, you're there to do your job. And so you want to remember your job is first. It's not like I never thought, well, first of all, I'm 18, so I'm not thinking we're going to go out and get any drinks or something like that. I'm just like, I'm there to do a job. I'm blessed to do this job. I'm blessed to be the youngest person in this room doing this job. So I'm just happy to be there, honestly, at that point. By the time I got to be in my 20s, that's when, for me, I wanted to have more of a closer relationship, because we had worked so often by that point. Because in 90, we did Remember the Time first. Then the very next year, almost around the same time on my birthday, we worked on the American Music Awards for a song called Dangerous. And then we did a short film called Ghosts, and then I toured the world with him on the History World Tour. So I've been working with him on so many different projects. And so at that point is when I felt like I could have a conversation with him. At least, hey, how's it going today? How was your day? Those kind of things. But in the very beginning, no, I didn't say anything to Michael.
Okay, so because I know some people have this mindset, maybe it helped that you grew up in LA, that they want to just make a beeline to a certain person and write them a note or whatever it is, and try to jump the line, so to speak. And I don't know if that necessarily works, but I know people think that it might.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. No, and the idea of going towards him to communicate with him, other than to say hello, no, I was there to do a job. So that's first and foremost. And then everything else will just happen on its own, organically. You would hope so. It didn't when I was, on those first couple of jobs, but then later on, things started happening where we can have more conversations about things in life. At that point, I was married. I had, a child, so I had a lot more that I could talk about,
And did you take, I know this is a strange question, but did you take the bus home that night after that rehearsal? Very
good question regarding the bus. So I was still busing it. Through that point, I think at that point, no, I probably borrowed my mother's car. But that job was what got me my very first car, which almost killed me. That job got me I bought my very first car, which was like a 74 Volkswagen Beetle. And I was working the following year for a group called In Vogue. I used to be a dancer for them when we were getting ready to go on tour. And during rehearsals, I'm driving the Bug in North Hollywood off of Burbank Boulevard, and I'm driving, and I smell smoke. I turn around, and whoosh, this big fireball comes from the back of the car. Because
right?
Underneath the back seat, it's stubble, and it sits right on top of the battery. So somehow the stubble in the back seat got caught on fire, probably from the battery, or the engine, or the heat, or something like that, which is in the back as well. And so while we're driving, I'm like, oh my gosh, and my hair is gray from being singed, and I jump out of the car in the street on Burbank Boulevard, and I'm rolling in the street. I yank off my shirt, I take it off, and I make sure I'm okay. The car veers, hits a tree, and catches this tree on fire.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, that was my first car, but I got it. Remember the time.
Oh my goodness. Okay, wow.
I'll never forget that first car.
Wow.
Yeah, it was funny.
That's scary. Of all the people you've danced with in your life, all the different names, all the unknown dancers that are probably amazing as well. Where does Michael Jackson rank as far as dance moves?
Yeah. As far as where he ranks as far as dance moves, it's really interesting because I got a chance to work with Usher, who copies Michael Jackson. I've watched Chris Brown, who copies Michael Jackson. Jason Derulo copies Michael Jackson. So I would say that Chris Brown is probably one of the most talented dancers, but he doesn't hold a candle to Michael because Michael's the originator. You never outdo the originator. So for me, as far as the dancers are concerned, there's nobody like Michael. Like, there's very few people that I've seen dance that can make people cry. Michael can do that. I have a friend of mine who his name is Matthew Rushing. He dances. He actually is one of the artistic directors at Alvin Ailey now. He was the second person that I've ever seen somebody dance and make people cry in the audience. Like, he is a beautiful dancer. And Michael was the first. So unless you can do that and move people with that kind of emotion, yeah, you don't hold a candle to Michael.
And when you were 18 and in that crowd, you know, I remember the time doing the dance moves, was there something in you that said you don't outdo the originator? Like, did you want to, you know, you're young and you're excited and you want to, you know, show your stuff.
Yeah.
Did you have to remind yourself that, or that came later?
No, I think the idea of, you know, not topping the originator, I think I'm really competitive. So I don't care who you are, whether you're Michael Jackson or somebody else, I'm going to try to outdo you. There's been times when that has actually got me into trouble. Like, so no, when I'm 18, I'm not even thinking like that. But as I further along and get better in my dances, keep in mind, I'm still in high school. So, you know, I had gotten from 10th grade to 12th grade. I was a completely different dancer. I could do so much more. I could do the splits, I could turn, I could jump, I could leap, I could do Russians, I could do a lot of, I mean, pretty much almost anything I wanted my body to do, I could probably do by the time I was 18. So the confidence was definitely there. But as I started working after, you know, between the Michael Jackson jobs, I'm doing other jobs for other artists as well. And, you know, you do more and more work, you gain more and more confidence. And so by the time we go out on tour with Michael, you know, there's some nights when you have it, when you're just killing it, like dance-wise. And this is one night we were in Seoul, South Korea. I'll never forget this. So we're performing Smooth Criminal, and we're getting ready to do the famous lean forward. In Smooth Criminal, when you watch the music videos and also when you watch the live shows, you see this moment where Michael Jackson and the dancers lean really far forward and then they come back up. Now, we do this live on stage. And, you know, to do the trick, you need to have really strong stomach muscles because it's all stomach muscles. You literally tighten your body and then you lean forward and your feet are locked in to the floor. One night I went so far, no lie, my nose was probably this far from the floor. Now this is from a standing position. So imagine going all the way down, 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 down to you're this close from the floor. And I'm next to Michael, but I'm behind Michael. So if Michael's here, I'm here, and you could obviously see me. And I was just feeling it that night. It was just a good night. I was just performing so well, and I went too far. And so the show's over, and Lavelle Smith, who is one of my mentors in dance, he was also the dance captain for Michael. He's been with Michael from the Dangerous World Tour. He's been with Michael, like he was in the original Smooth Criminal. He came up to me and says, "Hey, Michael, Michael asked if you can make sure you don't lean that far next time."
Interesting.
I said, "Yeah, I'm sorry." So, you know, there's going back to what you were saying. Yes, there's been times when I was so hyped up. I know I never thought I was going to be better than the originator, but there's been times when like I was just, you know, feeling it, and I kind of went a little bit too far.
You mentioned that you're competitive.
Yeah.
And you said sometimes it's gotten you in trouble. Aside from that, which it sounds like you corrected it, how has it gotten you in trouble?
Well, now with this, you know, this new role of me being a writer and director, typically the way I have two managers, and typically the way it works when it comes to my work as a writer is I'll write something and I'll give it to them to look at it, give me notes on it, and then I'll receive it back and, you know, make some corrections based upon the notes. There's been times when I was impatient and I wanted to get something sold faster, And so as a result, I would not send it to them. I'd send it right to the person, right to the executive at, a studio directly. And in those situations, you have what are called general meetings. General meeting being that they'll set up, my managers will set up me to have a meeting with an executive at Paramount Studios or at BET or, at Lionsgate. And I'll meet this person. We'll have a great rapport. Literally, it's a do I like you meeting. Do I like Courtney meeting? And, the 30 minutes to 45 minutes. And I come in there and they, tell them a little about my background, where I come from. By then, they would have seen, I have a short film, which was a hip hop musical that I did while I was still in college. That was like my thesis project. And that project is what got me the meeting. So by then, we've had some discussion. They've seen some of my work. And then by the end, I usually get their contact information. So I have their phone number, their email address. And they're like, hey, whenever you have anything, coming up in the future, let me know. Even though they say that, the correct route is to still go through your managers and have your manager or your agent send them the script. Sometimes, because of my competitiveness, because of my impatientness, I'll just send it to them directly. And that's gotten me in trouble sometimes. So I'm still working on that from time to time.
Okay, so advice to new writers and directors is follow protocol?
Yeah, there's definitely a protocol that you should be following. And definitely follow that protocol. Yeah.
What if someone says, well, I'm a rule breaker and that's how I've gotten things done?
No.
I go outside the lines.
Yeah, and there are people like myself who are sometimes will go outside the lines and break rules, but just know that there's going to be possibly some consequences of that. And as long as you're ready to accept those consequences, go have at it.